everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. Today we are going to discuss doing research in our current volatile environment and how to move forward with confidence. We are AYTM, which stands for Ask Your Target Market, an automated insights platform. And we realize that everyone's dealing with kids and pets and partners, and you're mostly all working from home. So we really appreciate your time and that you're joining us for this virtual conference. And hopefully we'll have the chance to see each other in person in the fall in Texas. So I am Eileen Rozic, and I recently joined AYTM to lead our sales initiatives globally. And I've worked across market research for 15 years in a variety of areas, but the last decade has been spent with online insights, working very closely with customers on strategic initiatives. And then I've focused the last 5 years on agile solutions and automated technology. With me today is my awesome colleague, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Stephanie Vance, VP of Research at AYTM. Like Eileen, I've been working in market research for almost 15 years now, mostly as a quantitative researcher specializing in advanced methodologies. I actually got my start in academic research as an experimental psychologist, and then I worked on the client side for a while, but ultimately have ended up where my passions lie on the supplier side, consulting with clients and focusing on just research execution.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. So today I want to highlight on some of the areas that we're going to discuss. We're really dealing with, there's uncertainty in the industry, but we're seeing a lot of great learnings and confidence come out of it. So we're going to talk today about questions we're hearing most often from both our customers and our partners, shifts that are occurring across how to focus on the now versus the long term. We're going to highlight some use cases and case studies. And then Stephanie's going to be able to share actual data from our last multi-week of tracking initiatives that we've done to focus on what's happening in our world today. So what types of questions are we asking? A lot of us know this, but we've just got to continue to dig a little bit deeper within those. Number one is, what do we do right now? How do we stay relevant and solvent? And then how do we plan ahead? And these really are very intertwined. We have to understand what research to do and how to do it, but then we've also got to understand what tools and technology to implement to make sure that we're prepared for the future. We recently hosted a online insights leader roundtable, and we had a great conversation with these insights leaders around current realities and new ideas. And one of our clients shared this tidbit of great information, this factoid, that if you're going to run research right now and the data does not look like you expect it to, will you blame it on what's happening in the world today, from health to economical instances? And if yes, consider holding off. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing research, but it may mean that particular piece of research can wait, or consider a different way to ask the question, get to your audience, and make sure that you're providing the valuable insights that your company needs today. So consumer habits are changing. We all know that. We're reading all these different things. I had a chance to watch some TV last night, and I saw all these different ads that we're really trying to differentiate and make messages, and I think there's still a lot of growth to happen there. But we really think that right now, we as market researchers have the chance to be rock stars, both for our communities and for our companies, to make sure that we're all not just surviving today, but thriving as we move forward. We're now going to share 4 different use cases that speak to this and how we can continue to grow. The first is a consumer pulse survey. This is more of a sentiment analysis. It's a way to go out and understand what your consumers are thinking about not just their world, but your brand, your competitive environment, your industry, growth areas. And we've seen this for the last month plus across every industry that's out there, that people want to understand how do their consumers feel today and what you can do to meet them in the moment. We're seeing this done on a daily basis, which surprised me, but there were some learnings pulled from that, a weekly basis, and then obviously we're going to see it ongoing to how people can pull this consumer sentiment and pulse out and create learnings from it. The next component is innovation studies. At first, I was a little concerned, like, how are we going to do innovation? Are we going to develop new products? Are people going to focus on that? But what we've realized is that consumers are still looking for products and services that can help them. I think it's more important than ever to be authentic and empathetic, which aligns with a lot of AYTM's values, to really understand how to make sure that we're meeting our consumer needs. We're seeing KPIs hold up. People are still validly answering questions around purchase intent, uniqueness, believability. What we've also seen in innovation, though, is that a movement from qual to quali-quant, or even, a more hybrid approach. So we can't do focus groups in person right now. There's a lot of great online focus group environments out there, and then there's more of what our experience is in, which is a hybrid approach where you do a quantitative survey, but you incorporate qualitative elements from, obviously we have our open-end storytelling diaries to having consumers videotape themselves, add images, and really add that qualitative component to the quant study. When you do that, the other advantage you can get is that you have enough data to slice and dice and get clusters of new consumers and new areas and personas of consumer segments that may be able to help you drive future innovation. Another segment that has been very interesting to see adapt and shift over the next month is brand loyalty. I think we all have probably had to buy some brands we don't normally buy. I actually ran into it with toilet paper of all things. The only thing on the shelf was not my brand, but it was the store brand. And guess what? It's fine. It's good. Does that mean I'm going to not be loyal to my current brand anymore? I don't know. But we need to know as marketers, what are our consumers thinking about our industry? Can we gain a net new audience? We've learned that consumers, and Stephanie's going to share data on this in just a little bit, but they're open to new brands, and because a new brand may be able to help them in this time of uncertainty, they may even create an adaptation of loyalty. They feel like they're more loyal to that brand because they were there when they needed help and their old brand wasn't. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. We're definitely seeing switching behaviors, and so we really want to understand what's most important to our consumers and how we can not just keep their loyalty, but earn their loyalty and make sure that we're the right brand for them. This actually aligns with our last case study, which is competitive intelligence. When I was watching TV last night, I mentioned that, but pretty much every auto ad mentioned safety. The food ads mentioned freshness. The telecom ads mentioned connectivity. Those should be table stakes. If that's what everyone's telling me, they're not telling me how they're really going to help me. We've got to differentiate. We've got to break through, and we want to understand what our competitors are doing. With flexible research, you can do your own SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But don't do that as a company, which I think we all do. Ask your consumers, what's my SWOT analysis? What's happening? And how can I differentiate but be more thoughtful and care about how I'm going to support everything that's happening out there. So with those in mind, we're now, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie so she can share some of the weekly tracker research that we've done that we continue to learn from that supports some of these findings.
Sure. Hey, everybody. So I think Eileen already sort of hinted at this background, but basically, in order to be able to provide some insights and guidance to our clients around research during the global pandemic, in March, we began running a consumer tracker that was specifically related to perceptions and behaviors during COVID-19. So what we'll do here is just take you through some of the more interesting findings. These are all from Wave 5, which is our most recently reported out on wave. We've already run a Wave 6, which I'm going to speak to at a couple of points. This first slide, it's really just about broad changes to shopping and purchasing behavior during this time. We see, this is not a shock to anyone, that virtually all consumers have faced product shortages. Something else that's interesting here, behaviors such as stocking up on food, stocking up on personal supplies, food rationing, we've actually seen those continue to ramp up in recent weeks rather than taper off since the beginning of the tracker and the pandemic. And we definitely see higher than normal utilization of home delivery services. So that's really more the purview of higher income households than lower income households. Diving next into some specific categories, at the category level, we've seen some pretty consistent trends since COVID-19 and stay-at-home orders began. Purchase in some categories is up significantly. These are things like shelf-stable foods, frozen foods, cleaning products. Whereas more discretionary spend is down, and that's in categories like tech, apparel, beauty supplies, toys. But what's interesting is even in these areas that have seen big spending cuts, in more recent weeks, we're starting to see upticks again. We're still down from pre-COVID spending, but there's definitely some rebound relative to late March and early April in these discretionary categories. Sorry, I had to mute to cough. We've also been doing a drill down on brand switching by category. And while we're seeing brand switching in all categories to some extent, it is particularly high in those categories where we see increased purchase behavior, areas like shelf-stable foods and cleaning products. I'm going to move quickly to this next slide because it offers an explanation for some of this behavior. We asked people to report by category why they're switching brands. And the first reason is probably the most obvious reason. The brand that they're going to buy, as Eileen mentioned in her toilet paper example, is not at the shelf. So that's definitely the main reason. But we're also seeing two other reasons really rise to the top. The first is related to people moving to value brands and more affordable alternatives. And then in some categories like cleaning supplies, personal care, and laundry, we see that consumers are looking for performance brands. And I think a lot of this may be reflective of some consumers who have maybe previously valued natural ingredients or sustainability, but during a global pandemic are becoming more performance-oriented. They're looking for antimicrobial benefits, for instance. And then finally, this is an area that we don't have represented in our slides because it's from our most recent wave. But we asked consumers by category to tell us, do they plan to go back to their pre-COVID brands or do they plan to stick to some of the new brands they're buying? And interestingly, we did not necessarily expect this finding. Fully half across categories indicate that they would either continue to mix brands or only stick with the new brands they've been buying. So I think this is going to be an area where there's potentially some significant upheaval in brand preference and purchase that will be really interesting to monitor. And that is it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. So we've been talking about research and different data findings that we've learned from consumers over the last several months, definitely the last month. Balancing great research with technology is the next area we want to focus on because we need to have the right tools and programs in place that not only get us the right research, but we get them quickly so we can react to them and be relevant. The whole idea is that we want to make insights imperative for our companies so we can get them the answers in a very fast manner with high quality so they can respond and to what's happening in the marketplace. So one of the ways we've seen this is where the power of technology is so much more important as we've seen this impactful digital transformation happen. It's really become beyond impactful. It's much more imperative. We've really got to understand how we can control our unknowns. We want to verify and understand our knowns, and that's going to allow us to have confidence in the path forward. There's been a lot of great solutions and collaborations across partnerships in insights and research. And these conferences and other ways are to help you learn how you can take advantage of those and implement them into the right system for your technology environment. We really think it's important to find that technology provider that can become a partner for your organization. Within AYTM, one of the ways we work with our customers is with our flexible insights platform that gives you real-time feedback. One of the things that we've worked to create is being able to do complex research like conjoint, max diff, competitive topography, and even pricing. We make complex research easy. Beyond that, we make standard research easier. So the whole idea is whether you want to do it yourself, do it together, or have us do it for you, we are with you along your insights and consumer journey. The key point we think across all of our teams is building trust, authenticity, and empathy. You have the opportunity right now to help your consumers and to affect this future and to really help your brand in different ways. Consumers are smart. They don't want to be sold to. There's going to be a lot of marketing happening. We're seeing it now, and it's just going to escalate as we start to re-engage and come back out to society and interact in person. So remember who you are as a company, be authentic, and use this in-the-moment research to make strong decisions, cut through the clutter, and differentiate in meaningful ways. Make it deep, make it real, and be honest. When you're thinking about what's to come, if you bring in the right processes and tools, it will really empower you to move forward and efficiently in the future. So in closing, I'd like to invite you to reach out to us with any questions. We're going to have a quick Q&A, but we really want to listen and learn from each other and grow together. We will be hosting ongoing roundtables that are some of the findings we shared today, so feel free to reach out and share that with us. But we appreciate all of you, our peers and our partners and our customers, and we're looking forward to what the future holds, and we do think it's going to be very positive. So thank you very much.
That was great. Thanks so much, Eileen and Stephanie. We do have a few minutes left for questions from the audience, and I'm starting to see some questions flow in. And just a reminder, folks can enter their questions in the question section on the lower left-hand side. The first question is, where are you seeing the biggest changes in your consumer tracker?
Sure, and I can take that. This is Stephanie. One of the most interesting things to me in terms of like some changes that we've seen that we didn't necessarily anticipate is that we ask a lot of questions just around general concern during this time. And since the beginning of our tracker, we always see this really prominent age effect where people under 30 are like, I'm not concerned. And then people who are over 60 are like, I'm very concerned. And we saw that effect early on, and then over time, it just came to be where there was this bifurcation where people who are over 30 were generally concerned in a way that people under 30 were not. And then in the most recent weeks, and this has been repeated now twice, so we feel like it's a pretty stable effect, we're seeing that concern levels are starting to drop, except in this one group of 30 to 44-year-olds. And we think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, like, concern about the virus itself is starting to wane. People are becoming inured to that threat. But the economic anxiety that's unfolding is really hitting young to middle-aged adults the hardest. And so we have a lot of interest in watching that group because they do have a lot of buying power and kind of seeing where their concerns are and what their behaviors look like.
Great. And the next question is AYTM seeing any trends on different types of research specific industries are running right now? For example, retail versus CPG, et cetera.
Yeah, that's a great question. We touched a little bit on that, but I think the one thing that impressed me was when we were looking at just immediate feedback on that consumer sentiment type analysis or brand tracking, that's been across different industries. Everybody's interested in that and learning about that. Where we've seen some differences are everybody's still doing research, first of all, even with retail and hospitality. There's new concepts and ideas and really a lot of positioning happening. When you get into the more core with your CPG and technology, we're seeing different types of product innovation, new ideas, ways to be more helpful and communicate and really think beyond maybe what their standard innovation cycle was to new incorporations of partners and collaborating on a deeper level. We're also seeing with some larger clients moving beyond just looking at how do people feel about the brand to are there specific events, are there sponsorships, are there partnerships that they can cultivate to expand beyond just their core consumer. I think we're looking at that global community and realizing that we shouldn't just talk to people that buy our product, but how can we help everybody, even if, they could buy our product in the future or if they've gone away from that. Like, let's not be so specific to just our loyalists. And then obviously we have our restaurants and our QSRs that are looking at and food delivery services and groceries that are looking much more in the moment, that how can I deliver, how can I pivot to no longer having people maybe come visit me, but help them get takeout or messaging or menu optimization. So definitely seeing some core specific research to help them as they navigate the new water that they're in and be able to respond very quickly to make it happen and make it reality for their customers.
Great. We are all out of time, but I just wanted to quote Eileen, who just presented. We have the chance to be rock stars, not just to our community, but to our businesses. And, you know, what you said in the beginning really set the stage well for your presentation, but also the degree in which researchers have the ability to impact the future. So I hope you don't mind that I quoted you, but it was just a great reminder about the future and the level of optimism that I think we could all use at this time.